Ah, the Boomer Shooter. A modern FPS with a retro coat of paint. We got Doom likes, we got Hexen likes, we got Blood likes, and whatever else melts your pixelated Doom cute butter. Today I'm looking at Warhammer 40k BOLTGUN, a boomer shooter set in the grimdark fantasy 38,000 years in the future, where demons exist and space marines exist to eliminate them. Where a giant, genetically and surgically altered individual wears 700-pound armor and wields weapons that would normally be mounted to light artillery. The rise of the boomer shooter coincides with the popularity of retro-style games. They are the games that try to scratch that itch of nostalgia. The nostalgia we all had when we played games as kids. The feeling of these games matter much more than the accuracy of the period that they're based on. Where values such as game progression and auto-saving matter much more than the amount of lives you accrue or the amount of points you get. So, does BOLTGUN live up to the standards of our inner children? Does it have the same feeling as shotgunning demons from hell, like you're living in 1993 with your Mario pajamas on the family computer in the living room? Let's take a look. A single Space Marine is not to be taken lightly. The process where they undergo the transformation into the Adeptus Astartes, or however you say it, is harrowing. A normal human adolescent undergoes a series of implantations that change his body into a hardened, 7-foot-tall, never-sleeping behemoth who exists only to serve the Emperor. You are this monstrosity of genetic manipulation and surgical enhancement. You are here to purge the heretics. You must cleanse with holy bullets and purge with concentrated plasma. You are an ultramarine. You're on your way to a planet that's infected with chaos. Chaos is like the other dimension. It's like where demons live and where hell lives. It's this chaotic pandemonium where death and violence and plague and whatever else live. The warp is demonic.
Good evening, and welcome to the pit of ultimate darkness.
But it's necessary for space travel, it's necessary for a bunch of different things. It's necessary for psychers, magic users essentially. What lives in the warp can corrupt, and that's what Space Marines don't like. They hate the stuff.
I'm a man possessed by many demons. Polite demons that would open a door for a lady carrying too many parcels, but demons nonetheless!
As far as the story goes, every 40k game is like nearly the same. Kill aliens, kill heretics, you're the sole survivor of a drop pod, and there's no time to mourn your fallen comrades. Pick up your bolt gun. Do what the Emperor has commanded you to do. For people who enjoy the intimidating and vast lore of 40k, you're not gonna find it here. This game is all daka and no black library. Fun! This game's fun. You know how I said that retro games try and capture the feeling that you have when you're a kid? This game does it. It does it very, very well. Like if a 40k game was released back in 1993, this is what it would feel like looking back at it. Just, it's like rose-colored glasses, but they're prescription glasses, and you use them every day. Does that make sense? You're a giant space marine, you're 7 feet tall, you're wearing this huge armor, you're stomping around, you can feel the stomps, you can feel how heavy the weaponry is, the sound of your bullets chunking away at the enemies, just stomp, 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 ka-choo, 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 ka-choo. And then you get more weapons that are somehow even more powerful. It's very satisfying. The heavy bolter is probably my favorite gun. It's basically a machine gun that shoots out like, I don't know, 50 caliber rounds or something like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, it basically turns your enemies into hamburger. Just point and hold down the trigger and it's just red paste. The sound in this game is also, it meshes well with the weapon design and how it feels to walk around when you are shooting your weapon it feels like you're shooting something extremely powerful that only someone who's 7 foot tall and 500 pounds could wield. The shotgun sounds meaty, and when the shells hit the ground, it sounds like you're dropping those red solo cups to the ground. That's how big the shells are. The plasma gun burns, the lasers pierce, and the melt-a-gun, well, it melts. It's all satisfying. When you're switching through your weapons and chewing through your enemies, that's also very, I hate to say satisfying, but it is satisfying. The pixel art, when you kill your enemies, they fall to a clump on the ground, but you can also keep shooting them and turning them into hamburger even more. Their organs go all over the place. I remember shooting I don't know, some enemy, and like they exploded, and then I saw like a pixelated brain on the ceiling, and it would drop down onto the floor. When you walk through corpses, you can hear them squishing between your feet, and the chainsword revs up. It's all gravy, baby. It's all good. It's nasty. There's 8 guns, there's special power-ups, there's weapon pickups, there's ammo pickups, there's health pickups, there's colored keys, all your standard stuff. It's Doom. It's Doom, baby. This is a capital V video game, and it's Doom. This is Doom, baby. It's Doom.
I gotta sing the Doom song now.
I do want to recommend this game, but before I give it the old Johnny Wag's stamp of approval, I gotta check off some critiques that make me say, dang, I wish they added that. There are a few times where I got a bit turned around within the huge Gothic cathedrals and the dense pipe of the Underforges, and yeah, a map would have been really, really helpful. So it feels kind of like an oversight because, you know, Doom had a map. On your little grimdark adventure, you have this little servo skull that accompanies you. He's like your little companion, and he chirps at you in some low-pitched static. It communicates with you, but it's not voiced. There is voice acting in this game, but your little companion is not voiced. Instead, it shows up in the upper left part of your screen. The problem with the message in the upper left is you're usually busy shooting guys, so it's hard to look over and see what it's got to say, and most of the time it's frivolous, so it doesn't matter if you miss it or not, but sometimes it just feels like, well, what if he did say something important and I'm missing it? My issue with it is that it feels like it's pulling my attention away from what I want to do in the game, which is chainsword little culty freaks. Generally, it's just an unhelpful little guy that follows you around. And the last thing before I get into something a little heavy with what the 40K universe is, I wish it had a quick switch button. Usually these games have some quality of life improvements, and this one definitely does. But instead of a quick switch button, which would normally be like the top button or the Y button, it has a taunt button, which is fun. It adds to the flavor of the game. Instead, you have to switch weapons with the D-pad, which is cumbersome because you have to take your thumb off the left stick, which is your movement stick, in order to switch weapons, which makes it so that you're not moving anymore. And this game wants you to move. It's a lot like Doom 2016 in that respect, where moving is really beneficial. Okay, on to the unsavory bit that I don't like exactly talking about, but I think it needs to be said. And I don't even think this is going to be a problem for most people. But 40K's Imperium of Man is based off of like an extreme exaggeration of totalitarianism and imperialism. According to the lore, mankind has to conform to a singular religion, or else they'll be labeled as a heretic, punishment being execution. Inquisitors roam the galaxy. They're basically like the Imperium of Man's police force who sniff out any sort of blasphemy. They're sort of like scouts, and then they report back, and either they send Space Marines in or, you know, the Imperial Guard. Space Marines are obviously the face of this whole franchise, and they are the strong arm of this whole supremacist allegory. The intention of 40K was to imagine the endpoint of what fascism and totalitarianism would be. Soldiers as biological, technical, and theological weapons of the Emperor, made to snuff out any sort of dissenters to this right-wing, futuristic government. It's supposed to be ridiculous. It's supposed to look ridiculous. It's supposed to be like, oh, like, whoa, like, oh. It's supposed to be satire, but unfortunately, you know, they made the Space Marines too cool. Like, they're not ridiculous. Like, they're very serious soldiers that have been, like, implanted with 19 implants that turn them into walking tanks. Anyway, they made the fascists look cool. It's like the Empire in Star Wars. So, unfortunately, it just has that air about it. It didn't hamper my enjoyment of the game, but I think people should be aware that this is sort of... I mean, 40K is like 50 years old at this point. So, like, if you are sensitive to that kind of stuff, just be aware. And I don't think you're a bad person if you like this game. I don't think you're a bad person if you like the Empire and Star Wars. But, you know, I am going to give you this look. Anyway, when are they going to make a game where you can play orcs, the objectively good faction? I don't want to make it seem like you're the bad guy for playing this game, because you're not. You're very good for playing this game. You should play this game. It's good. It's fun as hell. I had a great time playing it. It's nearly mindless fun, especially if you play it on low difficulty like I did, like the filthy heretic I am. And on tougher difficulties, you're going to be strategizing where the health pickups are, where the ammo is, where the power-ups are, and trying to make sort of a line, almost like you're in a skate park or something like that. That's it for me, my fellow gamers. This is Johnny for Side Questing.
In the darkness. Hello, I'm your host, Simon Milligan. For those of you without a brave heart, get up, go to your television sets and turn the station. Go ahead. Exercise your right to be a coward.